From Software dropped stealth drop a new trailer. Spoiler alert, not watch that trailer. I'm not going to be using that footage in this video because it has lots and lots of boss fights. So if you do not want to learn about those boss fights, I friendly advise to not watch that thing. The thing is that they also added patch notes, and there's a huge array of buffs and nerfs. So let's talk about that and the new features, because there's actually new features that it's going to come with this patch notes. First and foremost, there has been like some kind of rehash to the map. They did something new to the map, so you have options on your map right here that will allow you to see where do they have like multiplayer. It also shows you what kind of multiplayer do you have. So for example, these swords right here would be indicative of that is a PvP kind of zone multiplayer, whereas this one, for example, this is a PvE kind of zone multiplayer. It also has the summoning pool list of the places where you have summoning pools. Usually that's where there's always going to be online multiplayer as well. They finally allow you to use torrents on the Elden Beast, and I can't stress enough how needed this was. It just feels that this fight was designed for you and your body. Torrents, like getting at the end of the journey together, and many of the attacks that the Elden Beast has, it feels like they were supposed to be fought on the back of torrents, so it's a nice addition right here. There's also 5 new hairstyles, and one of them in particular, I love it. It's this one right here, this one right here, this one right here, which I actually kind of dig this one as well, kind of like a barbarian kind of thing. But this one, which seems to be like a little hint to Mikkel or Marika, like this is like a regal kind of hairstyle. So yeah, there's 5 new hairstyles for you to choose right here. This video is brought to you by a long-term friend of the channel, Bloodline. Here's a life test, that one game that actually does look and plays like what you're seeing on screen. It's free to download using the QR code and link in the video description. What's cool about this game is that you have a huge array of heroes that you can marry, breed into much more powerful ones with this gacha system. They're always adding new ones bi-weekly. The race system is honestly astonishing. You have elves, lycans, demons, demigods, vampire, pretty much any fantasy warrior you can think of. Just now, it's the perfect time to jump back into the game, because they're hosting the 2nd anniversary celebration from June 20th to June 27th, where you can find events like the anniversary return rewards for players that have been away, Luxus, the light goddess that also adds Radiant City skin, the Arbiter's Arena, fireworks and torchlight event, and Convoking Scope event that adds many more rewards. If you download the game right now using the link in the video description or the QR code on screen, you get a mystery anniversary gift pack, and if you use my link, you get return rewards for players that have been inactive for 14 days and come back into the game. That yields you 1 mythic level champion, 3-star champion tokens, 30 summoning crystals, and 41 hours bonus gold chests. The first 30 players who leave their in-game account ID and username in the first pinned comment section down below will receive a free legendary female Succubus champion, the Luxurians, and the Shotzen, 2 of the best warriors to carry you through the game. Back to video. That being said, we're getting into the realm of everyone's favorite, the balancing into the overall combat of the game on itself, short and straight to the point. The PvP balance highlights. Remember that there's patch notes in the video description just after the sponsor's information. Madness and sleep status have time to recover. No longer do you have to suffer immediate stat procs. The least used weapons had an increased poise damage to players in PvE, and the most spammable weapons like aka straight swords, katanas, spear, also stuff that you can use from behind a shield, they don't deal as much poise damage anymore, so bye-bye to spamming weapons. Then again, you can see all of this right here on screen. I'm just giving you the highlights. There's also some nerfs on skills, sashes of war, and incantations. Remember that this is purely on PvP portion still. Now this, what you can see right here, these are the highlights of the general PvE and PvP balances. Great swords, curved great swords, great axes, great hammers, they got nerfed when it comes to how much damage you consume when you block with them, when you guard with them. But they also receive buffs in charge attacks and attack speed, so it's kind of a balance in between buff and overall general nerf and buff right here. Now strangely enough, they're trying for more people to use the useless great runes. Millennia and Mug runes have been buffed. If you're not aware, you get attack power from Mog Rune when a Spirit Ash causes bleeding. This was buffed, very useful, for example, when a Mimic tier, the thing is always spamming Mogwin Sacred Spear, although that weapon has been nerfed. We'll get to that in a little while. And Millennia Rune that gives you the relic mechanic like Bloodborne, for example. You receive damage, you can get it back when you deal damage for very aggressive playstyles. Even though that it has been buffed, I still believe that this is a very niche kind of great rune. So yeah, there's that. It's like a little extra something that you might want to have as well. Now that we took care of the highlights, the armament adjustments. Troll Knight Sword, more damage. Summer Curved Sword, increased damage, increased movement distance of some attacks. Forked Hatchet, increased damage. Ripple Blade, decreased status build-up enhancement that scales with the Arcane attribute. Serpent Hunter, increase the speed of crouching attacks. Ripple Crescent Halberd, decrease the status build-up enhancement that scales with the Arcane attribute. Alvinoric Staff, increased attribute scaling. Gelmer Cleanstone Staff, increased attribute scaling. This is a very interesting one. The Prince of Death Staff, increased attribute scaling. So this is already very powerful with high level characters. We'll get to see how powerful this is right now. And the Golden Order, for Golden Order kind of builds, increased attribute scaling. Remember that these seals, they increase the overall attribute scaling, so increases all of the spells at the same time. So this is basically, when you buff a seal, you're basically buffing the entirety roster of the spells that you have right here. This is also true for the Clawmark seal, for the Bestial Incantations, and the Dragon Communion seal, increased attribute scaling. All of those spells that you see right there, they are going to deal more damage because of the increased attribute scaling of the seals that they use for their incantations. The skill adjustments, there's some really interesting ones right here. The Kick, increased poise amount when using this skill. Spinning Slash, decrease the status build-up of your weapon when using this skill. Storm Assault, decrease the poise generation speed. Storm Color, decrease poise. Storm Stomp, decrease the poise. Gleam Blade Phalanx, decrease poise damage. This is also always being a very kind of staggered skill. Loretta's Slash, also the poise. Bloody Slash, the poise as well. The Strong Shot, increased the speed of some attacks. I also forgot to mention that they buff some of the weapons, ranged weapons. So as you can see right here, they are also buffing the skills. Increase the speed when doing consecutive attacks, and Enhanced Shot, increase the speed of some attacks. And also it seems that overall, as you can see right here, they increase the parry. They want for people to use more parry, although usually it's more viable to lean into poise in Elden Ring, so they do want for you to parry more. It seems that right here, using any type of parry, it's going to be more viable, it's going to be easier. You have more frames and hitbox for the parries, so that's actually quite interesting. Taker's Flame, decrease the fire poise damage, remove the fire's knocking down effect. Moonlight Greatsword, this is one of the interesting ones. Increase the damage of heavy and charge attack, the poise damage, but decrease the poise damage of the generated magic wave. This is not a huge nerf. A lot of people are going to get upset because this is one a personal favorites for everyone. We have made a build recently actually about this weapon, but the Moonlight Greatsword has never been about staggering people. It's always been about not using FP that much and being able to cause a lot of damage from a safe distance because of the amount of buffs that you can have. And usually, more often than not, you're not going to guarantee the critical hits with this weapon because you're always using it from a distance. Now, if you actually use it point blank shotgun on the enemy, you are still going to have the damage because they increase the stagger potential. So it's kind of a balance where you have the reward where you use it far away from the enemy, you don't stagger them anymore, you can still knock them down. But if you're using it shotgun point blank on the enemy, you are able to like cause that critical riposte. So I wouldn't say that this is a nerf per se. The Thundercloud form, decreased poise damage. The Magma Shower, decreased the poise generation speed. The Thunderstorm, decreased damage. Bubble Shower, decreased damage and poise damage. This has always been interesting to me because this is only useful, yeah, it's very broken, but it's very broken, for example, against enemies like the Elden Beast or Placidusax that are huge and they can like receive the entirety of the damage. But for example, use it against something like Millennia and you're going to get your ass handed to you because none of the attack is going to fully 100% deal the damage. I commanded Neil increase the poise value during the active part of the skill, decrease the poise generation speed. Blood Boon Ritual, this is another one of the interesting ones, decrease the generated status buildup. If this weapon is able to deal 15 to 20k damage in some instances, is because it can deal bleeding like 2 or 3 times even sometimes if the enemy is susceptible enough, because each tick of this weapon would cause 1 bleeding on top of the already high damage that it has. So it's still going to be very viable, it's still going to be very strong, but the only thing is that I've tested it, it's not going to cause that bleed that often anymore. So maybe you're going to have like the base weapon damage, the base Ash of War damage, and then 1 status proc per every time that you cast it. Like, I'm not saying like every time that you complete the 3 cycles, you get the 3 cycle damage and then also 1 bleeding proc, and that's it. Maybe if you're lucky enough 2, but no longer 3 like it used to be before. Then finally, Loretta's Slash, decrease the poise generation speed, Ver Witness, increase damage and poise damage, a little bit of a nice buff right here. And then Contagious Fury, decrease the amount of attack power generated by this skill. So if you had any kind of these builds prepared for Shadow of the Tree, which is launching tomorrow, have all of this in mind. If you find a weapon or a skill that you would be using for your main build, consider it again, because it either has been buffed or nerfed. Anyways, if you like content and like it, very super appreciated. And also you there, gorgeous and beautiful person, you're in the gorgeous and beautiful person, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, like the video, we'll play Elden Ring on the Discord. Have a beautiful day.